All right, let's get into this incredible ancient parable. It's about a king, an orphan, and three questions. Questions that could either win you a kingdom or get you killed. Now, this isn't just a story with a few riddles, it's a deep dive into the nature of life, power, and what's actually true.
So picture this. You have a king who has it all. Unbelievable wealth, total power, fame, but he's got zero peace of mind. He's just haunted by these three questions. So he makes this huge announcement to everyone. Hey, anybody who can answer my three questions gets half of my kingdom. Sounds good, right? But here's the catch, and it's a deadly one. If you try and you fail, the executioner takes your head.
So, here's the first question. It seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? But it completely stumped all the wisest scholars and richest merchants in the kingdom. I mean, what could possibly be so valuable that all the money on earth couldn't buy it? You could practically hear a pin drop in that throne room.
And then we have the second question, which is a total paradox. Think about it. Something that's way more powerful than a person, something that can topple empires, but at the same time it can be tamed and controlled by just one person. What kind of force, maybe a force of nature, or even human nature, could possibly fit that description?
And finally, the third question. This one goes right to the heart of what it means to be alive. What's the one, single, undeniable truth we all have to face? And on the flip side, what's the great big illusion that we're all living under? So faced with these incredibly deep riddles and, the executioner's axe looming, there was just silence. Nobody dared to step forward.
But then, just when the king was starting to think no one would ever answer, the most unlikely challenger you can imagine steps out of the crowd. Not a scholar, not a nobleman, but someone with absolutely nothing to lose. And maybe, just maybe, everything to gain. Pushing his way through the stunned, silent crowd is this young orphan boy dressed in rags. He's got no family, no home, no money. And because of that, he has absolutely no fear. He walks right up to the king and says, "A man who has no one in this world has no fear of death." And just like that, he accepts the challenge.
But this orphan is smart. He's not reckless. He admits he doesn't have the answers, at least not yet. He asks the king for 40 days, a fast horse, and some supplies to go find them. The king, probably intrigued, agrees, but he gives them a stark warning. If you don't return, my soldiers will hunt you to the ends of the earth.
So the orphan's journey turns into this desperate race against time. For weeks, he travels everywhere, asking everyone he meets, but nobody has the answers. 30 days go by, his deadline is getting dangerously close, and he finds himself totally lost and hopeless in the middle of a scorching, empty desert. That executioner's shadow is getting longer and longer.
And just when all hope seems completely lost, the orphan stumbles upon something very, very strange. Out there, in the middle of absolutely nowhere, he spots a tiny, beat-up hut and a figure who's about to change his life forever. Outside this hut sits an old dervish, a holy man. But what really grabs the orphan's attention and fills him with total disgust is that the dervish is eating from the exact same clay bowl as a stray dog. The orphan immediately thinks, this guy is a madman. There's no way he has the answers I need. He almost just turns around and leaves.
But before he can take a single step away, the dervish speaks, without even looking up. "You've come a very long way. Why are you leaving now?" The orphan is just stunned. He tells the holy man the entire story. The dervish just laughs and makes him an offer. 2 answers free of charge. But the third one is going to cost him dearly. So the dervish gives him the first answer, and it's a direct shot at the king's entire way of life. He tells the orphan, "Go and tell your king that the most precious thing in the world is time. You can lose all the gold you have and earn it back, but you can never, ever buy back a single moment that has passed."
For the second question, the dervish reveals the answer is nafs. That's a person's ego, their inner desires and appetites. He explains that this force inside us is stronger than any wild beast. It can destroy kings, it can ruin kingdoms. But, and this is the important part, if a person chooses to, they can master it. The one who controls their nafs is a true king. The one controlled by it is just a slave.
The orphan now has 2 incredible answers. He's feeling pretty good, and he's eager for that final one. But now it's time to pay the price. And that price isn't gold or jewels. It's something way, way harder to give up.
The dervish takes a bowl, pours some milk in it, and places it in front of his dog.
The dog laps it up, drinking its fill. Then the dervish picks up that same bowl with the leftover milk, probably tainted with dog saliva, and holds it out to the orphan. "This is my price," he says. "Drink this."
I mean, can you imagine? The orphan is facing this impossible choice. He's completely repulsed. He cries out that he's a human being, not some animal. He'd rather die. And the dervish just calmly replies, "Then go and die. You need to think about whether that death is really better than this one sip of milk."
So here he is, caught between certain death at the palace and this moment of total humiliation. The orphan just breaks down weeping. His entire sense of self, his pride, his disgust, it all just comes crashing down around him. He takes the bowl, squeezes his eyes shut, and in one agonizing gulp, he drinks it. And then he just collapses onto the sand, totally and utterly broken.
And then, the dervish gently places a hand on his head. "I didn't want to shame you," he says softly. "I wanted to make you human. You were so consumed with this desire to become a king, but a person who can't conquer their own ego can never, ever truly rule."
With his ego completely shattered, his pride just washed away in the desert sand, the orphan is finally ready. He's ready to receive that final and most profound answer.
And this right here is the philosophical core of the whole story. The dervish tells him, "Go and tell the king the biggest lie in the world is life. We all walk around thinking it belongs to us, but it's just a temporary illusion that's going to betray us one day. And the biggest truth? Well, the biggest truth is death. It's the one thing that is absolutely certain, something that no one, not a king, not a beggar, can ever escape." The orphan makes it back to the court, just as the sun is setting on that 40th day. He delivers the final answer to the king, and the king is just stunned by its simple, brutal honesty. He actually stands up and applauds, declaring the orphan the winner. He offers him the royal robes, half the kingdom, everything he promised. But the orphan, he just pushes it all away.
With tears streaming down his face, the orphan looks at the king and says, "When I started this journey, I thought wealth was everything. But now that I understand death is the only real truth, why would I want to carry the burden of this false life and all its riches? Please, just give my share of the kingdom to the poor and the orphans."
Having just turned down a kingdom, the orphan turns around and runs straight back into the desert. All he wants is to find that dervish and serve him for the rest of his life. He travels for days, barefoot, completely exhausted. But when he finally gets back to the spot where the hut was, there's nothing. No hut, no dervish, no dog. Just empty sand like it was all some kind of dream.
So in the end, the orphan rejected worldly power for a spiritual truth, and he spent the rest of his days wandering that desert searching. Which leaves us with a final big question. Who or what was the dervish? Was he a messenger from God? A wandering prophet? Or was he simply a part of the orphan himself, a mirror to the soul that he had to confront to find any real wisdom?